Welcome back to CSR. My name is Sarah Sagitan, and we're still talking about art education right here on CSR. We have as a very special guest who came into the studio, Ms. Sheena Ira Tan. Welcome to the show, Ira.
Thank you.
And also our guest earlier, Janine Michelle Cabato. Welcome back to the show. Okay, Ira, you work with Start with the Heart. You founded this program, and it's a creativity laboratory for kids. So, what exactly does Start with the Heart mean, and what do you do with Start with the Heart Lab?
I came up with it actually like just parang when you wake up one morning and you want to build something, and then for me kasi art is really exactly what it is. Start with the heart. Parang I don't see art as starting with techniques or starting with instructions, ganyan, but really your heart, your emotions. It's diba, people say art is your self-expression. So it really has to start from the heart.
That's why you named it Start with the Heart. But you specialize in teaching younger children, whereas Ja teaches high school students. How old are your students?
They range from ages 2 to 6, so preschool age
age. So isn't it hard to teach 2-year-olds, for example, 3-year-olds? I mean, they I don't know, are they disciplined, or do you also have to teach them how to write, etc.? Or how do you teach 2-year-olds?
A lot of people say na it's hard, but it depends really siguro on your passion. Kasi me, I really love working with them. At the end of the day, it's all,
really love
kasi siguro parang I have lots of patience, and it's an enjoyable thing for me, an enjoyable activity. So I don't teach art to them like as a separate subject, because when they're in preschool, everything is integrated, so they're not divided. And then I don't find it hard because actually the little kids, as compared to older kids or adults, they don't have a lot of
inhibitions.
Yes, parang they're not scared to try. And then they just so they just, if you give them something, they'll work with it however they want.
But can talent already be detected at that young age? For example, how about you with your students? Are there exceptionally good students, or are they just playing around during, for example, your
It
artwork?
depends, because sometimes I compare them with how I developed as an artist. Like when I was in junior prep, I couldn't draw a window like that. So sometimes
But you like drawing ever since that young age?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So sometimes I've seen my kids just 4 or 5 years old, and they could draw a person in detail already. So I'm guessing that their eyes are really very practiced. Parang they really observe, and then sometimes when I just show them a picture, and then for a few seconds, and after that they could draw the picture. And so it also depends on how good they observe something.
How about you, Ja? You're also an artist. When you were growing up, can you also, I mean, at a young age, do you already know that you love to draw, that you're into art, or?
Honestly.
No?
No.
No?
No. My mom used to do everything for me.
The drawing and
The drawing, and then because I was so good, I was forced to join an art competition.
Okay.
Which scared the hell out of me.
Because it was your mom doing
Yes.
artworks?
Yes. High school. By high school by then. And then, so I had to learn overnight
How to draw.
how to draw. This is what you do and all those things. So the following day, during the inter-school competition, I had to draw Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He was the scientist who invented the microscope. I remember him because his hair was like this. Very hard, right? Because his hair was really hazy. It was so wild.
Is that hard to draw? I mean, for the competition?
I won second place. So I was like, after that, I was like, oh no, I know how to draw.
Confidence.
Confidence level went up.
Actually, that's also my experience. Not necessarily with art classes when I was growing up. The ones that involved sewing. I would make my mom do my projects. Yeah, crafts. I'd make my mom do the projects and submit it as my project and get a high grade. But what do you think of, how does that differ? Teaching arts and then also teaching crafts. Do you teach crafts, for example, or just?
Yes, because there's some skills that you learn when you do crafts, but I'm more of not really the craft side, because crafts is more of following directions, where there's a set of directions to be able to do, for example, a paper mache pot. So the kids follow the directions, and then maybe when there's a pot at the end, and then siguro their own creativity or originality comes out, like in creating the pot. There's some skill involved also.
But
crafts.
with
So it's-
drawing, do you just teach pure drawing and what do you call that, coloring, painting?
Yeah, more of painting, and then actually I don't really teach them. Parang if they ask for my help to, for example, to draw a tree or something, that's when I come in. Like I guide them, ask them questions so that it still comes from them. Parang how will I draw a tree? Ganyan. So I ask them, for example, have you ever seen a tree, or how do you think the tree looks like, and what do you think is the shape of the tree? Ganyan. So it still will come from them.
So you talk to your students before
Yeah,
you let
more
them
of
execute
guide
work.
questions lang.
Or you
That's
give them
really
guide questions.
that's really important. You don't suggest it's supposed to be green. I, come on, you could color it blue for all I care.
Yeah,
Blue
if they
or-
want.
Yeah, you just ask and
Still
ask
their
questions,
choice.
but it should always come from them.
And I would think that when you're asking questions, there is never a wrong answer when you ask them, when you facilitate, when you lead the children
Very
towards-
open.
Yeah, it has to be
Yes.
very open.
Yes.
So, unlike for example, in teaching a science
Science,
subject,
yeah.
there is an
Closed
answer.
questions. There's a correct.
There's a
answer.
correct answer. Whereas in art, even if they perceive a tree to have blue leaves, it's
Yes.
correct. You can
Because it's
never.
also their creativity.
It's also their creativity. But as you said, you don't impose teaching art. I read your poster for your summer art workshop. This is the first summer art workshop that you organized.
Yes.
And that you're facilitating. But these are specifically for kids ranging from 2 to 6 year olds.
4 to 7.
4 to 7 year olds. But when you teach kids, the workshop is called Imaginating.
Imagining.
Imaginating. Can you explain that?
I
term's
just
very
came
unique.
up with that word. Parang it's a mix of imagination and painting. So it's painting your imagination. So when you say, I'm imagining, that means I'm painting from my imagination.
As opposed to,
Siguro copying like what's, for example,
Still
like
life.
copying nature, ganyan. So it's not something you imagine, it's something that's actually there, ganyan. Kasi
okay.
for me, most of my, if not all of my paintings are really also from my imagination. So nobody can tell me this is wrong because that's from my imagination. So that's what I tell my kids also. Nothing is wrong in art because it's your imagination, it's different from mine. So if the nose looks deformed, I can't say it's wrong because that's from your imagination.
thus you created the word imaginating.
Yes.
Imaginating. But I would imagine that would be very good for young students. But for those in high school, there are already, I would say prescriptions, or for example, what the school requires of the student. Like for example,
Yes.
I said you grade the behavior during class, attendance, etc. So it's quite different when I would think to teach young children and also those in the adolescent stage. Is that
I
true?
think it depends on the setup also of the school.
Yeah.
So if the school is an art school, then you have really separate, like in Makiling. So they're really separate subjects for it. And then different teachers also will teach you the technique. But if it's just like a regular school, then you don't really have to delve further into the technique.
Into the
It has to be more on nurturing the creativity of the child.
But you both earned fine arts degrees from Ateneo, humanities. Okay, I had to guess. Fine arts and humanities. As painters, as artists, what did you learn from university, for example, that added into your art? So yeah, Jack.
All right. My background is basically more on museums. So managing exhibits, all those things. I only went into painting because I like it. It's a passion. I draw, illustrate, I do crafts. And yes, there are a number of things, especially on the principles, basic techniques that I've learned. But I make sure that I always add something.
How about you, Ira? I mean, you went to university. You also studied art in university. Did that add or subtract or somehow refine your art?
Ako siguro more on learning the techniques also. Because parang for me, everybody already has their own creativity. But the techniques, you have to learn them also. And then keep practicing
refine
them.
them.
Yeah, and then learning to work with different materials like watercolor and pastels and everything.
Okay, there is a saying that I always hear na artists, starving artists. So is that true, for example, in your case? Or is that a reality here in the Philippines? What do you think?
I cannot answer for everyone kasi some people, I think they would say they are starving artists. Pero I think compared to years before, art now is more
Commercial. There's more commercial
yeah,
value.
parang people are accepting it more na it's not for you don't like become poor when you're an artist, and it's not a job na there's nothing in it financially for you. Kasi when you go into galleries now, paintings are really, really expensive, di ba? Parang, I don't know.
How about you, Ja? What do you
I
think?
think-
Is there such a thing as starving artists?
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it because one, if not only for artists, for any other profession, if you just love what you do, I really think the money will just come.
You just follow.
Yeah, it will
that's
just
true.
follow. So if you like to write a book, but you're working, do not say that you don't have time for it. You always have time for it. If you really like it, you will do it. You will find ways to do it, and then the money will come. But don't make money the priority. It will never work.
It always has to be
It
what
always
you love.
has to be what you love to do, because then we call them passion projects. So we have a number artists, we have a number of passion projects, things that we'd like to do in our lifetime. So at the end of it, it's something that you are proud of. If you earn money from it, then that's a plus.
Plus.
The plus points already.
Yes. Okay, let's go through some more of the artworks that you brought with you, Ja.
All right.
Okay.
I taught them African masks.
Okay.
You know this.
Turning.
Yeah. You turn it and then you pull it. When it goes faster, they're going to dance.
Ah,
And then
there's animation.
The head, yeah, animation, and the head goes like this.
Cute. This is also an African mask.
Yeah, this is also African masks.
Okay.
This were done by my
High school
Freshman.
students? A freshman.
freshman students.
Also from LaSalle.
Also from LaSalle. The thing about freshman kids is that they're in between chapters of their life.
Right.
So they're sort of in between childhood and being able to fit
Adolescence.
in high school. Yeah. So you have to make sure that. Can you see it?
Yes. That's amazing.
It has to be playful also for them. Yeah.
All right. So we have that pop-up art. I don't know how to do that, but it can actually be done by people I know. I'm so proud. Because I only see that in bookstores and from like
I
foreign.
have Korean students
publishers.
also who did something like that.
You taught
pop-up.
Korean students also?
They're part of the group.
Okay.
They're very good.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, there's something about the Korean culture. They're really, really good in art.
In terms of drawing.
In terms of drawing, also in terms of music, they
also
have specific instrument, either violin, flute. They're really good.
Earlier I was asking Ja, how do you grade your students when it comes to teaching? How about you in teaching toddlers? How do you evaluate them? How do you evaluate a good output? Or is there such a thing? Do you even have grades in your art workshops?
I've always been a progressive teacher, so the grades are not numerical, and usually when we assess the kids, it's more product-based. So we let them come up with something, and then, project-based. So we let them come up with a project, and then we invite parents over, and then they talk about their works, so what they've learned so far.
All right.
So more of
That's how
descriptive. The grading is more descriptive.
So it's the parents who also discuss the artwork with their children.
We invite them over just so they know how their child is
their
doing
child is
and what their child has learned. So
All right, we'll continue this conversation when we return right here on GNN. Don't go away.